Hello, in this video I'm going to be talking about task 3 of the second AAT sample assessment for credit management. So task 3, 25 marks, this is the big written question. I also have a video for task 3 of the first AAT sample assessment, which possibly goes into more detail than this one is going to, but we'll see how we go. Right, so we know this is about credit rating sources, analysis of performance indicators leading to a credit assessment decision. Now, the good news is both of the AAT sample assessments for this task seem quite similar in that there's a sort of short theory-based written component to begin with. In this one, it's about over trading. And then it goes on to ask for, a big section of the marks to analyse all of the information available to make a credit decision, right? So you have to have your writing strategy ready before you attempt this exam. So part A here, discuss the concept of over trading. So what are the key signs, what impact it can have on a business? So there's absolutely loads that you can say here. So just very quickly, so over trading is when a business grows too fast and effectively may end up grinding to a halt. Key signs of over trading are, now good point here, it is perfectly acceptable to use bullet points, although you don't have access to actual bullet points, but I just do like a little dash. So key signs of over trading are rapidly increasing turnover. You've probably learned all of these off by heart, hopefully. Profit margins being squeezed as the business offers discounts to get more sales. Increased inventory holdings, receivables and payables, and also increases in the number of days relating to each of these. Haven't put that very well, but hopefully you get the idea. And so with the examiner, if I was under exam conditions. So we're increasing those, reduced cash holdings or moving into overdraft, maybe taking out more loans to cover operating activities. So it's okay to take out a loan if you're using it to kind of invest and develop your business, but if you're just using it to cover your cash flow needs, then that's not so clever. Make sure you've answered the questions. I've done key signs, impact it can have, the impact of over trading on a business might be, and again I'm just going to use some bullet points. So it might be that inadequate cash, I haven't spelled that right, I'm not going to worry, means suppliers are paid late and may withdraw credit terms or cease trading altogether with the business. Customers probably reasonably happy to a point, may become annoyed if orders cannot be met on time. I mean, they're reasonably happy if they're getting a discount, but not if the quality suffers. Quality could suffer actually, so quality of service or product could suffer as trying to produce too much too quickly. Ultimately, the business could fail due to lack of cash flow. I think that's a very comprehensive answer. So I'm going to have a look at their suggested answer. Interesting mark scheme for this. So it's a maximum of 7 marks, but it's split as a maximum of 4 for the signs and a maximum of 4 for the impact. So even though I've done loads on the signs, I would be limiting myself to 4 marks. So a quick look at their suggested answer is very similar to what I've said. The impact, not fulfilling orders, quality, reduced chance of repeat custom. I didn't say that. Suppliers might get impatient. Yeah, could lead to business failure. There are way more than 7 marks of stuff you can say, which is nice. Right, moving on. Clip-It are an existing barbershop customer of AZ Professional Hair Supplies and have approached them to ask for an increase in their credit limit from 7 to 16,000. They have also requested an increase in terms from 30 to 60 days. Clip-It have several shops located in a large city in northwest England. They offer both haircuts and beard trimming, shaving, as well as selling a variety of hair products that customers can purchase. You have spoken with a member of the sales department who's been in contact with Clip-It regarding their request for the increased credit limit and terms. She has commented that the business has seen a rapid increase in sales over the past 12 months. So we're getting some signs of overtrading here. We've kind of been led to it by part A, so should have been in your mind. This started when the original shop moved to much larger premises and continued with the opening of a number of new outlets in various parts of the city they are based in. So rapid expansion. The business is usually paid to terms, but this has declined recently, with several reminders sometimes having to be made for overdue amounts. So they're still okay, but alarm bells are ringing and initial thoughts are increasing their credit terms, not great at the moment. Should also say they're asking for 30 to 60 days. And if we go back to the beginning, it did say that the terms are 30 days after the month the sale took place, which means that some businesses can get 60 days credit already. So, you know, if we did increase it officially to 60 days, then we're really looking at 90 days. So, you know, something else to be aware of. Where was I up to? Here. The finance manager has expressed her concern that Clip-It might be overtrading considering the rapid expansion of the business. She has asked you to complete an analysis of the information of Clip-It for her to review to assess if their credit limit and terms can be increased. As part of the information, the last 2 years of financial statements has been requested, and we've got extracts of those in the reference section. Analyse all in capital letters of the information available to decide whether or not the increase in the credit limit and credit terms should be given to Clip-It. Right, so before I even start, I'm going to put my bog standard headings in. Right, so profitability, liquidity, financing, conclusion, and recommendation. In the other AAT sample assessment, we also had some references. Here we've got the feedback from the finance manager. So don't forget to put in the extra information as well as your standard profitability, liquidity, etc. So feedback from the finance manager. The finance manager of, what's that business called? AZ or something. AZ Professional Hair. I'm just going to call it AZ. I'll tell you what, let's do this. call it by its full title the first time and then put that in brackets, and then thereafter you can just say AZ. So the finance manager of AZ Professional Hair has raised concerns over the rapid expansion of Clip-It. She is well placed to see what is happening with their business, and her concerns should be given due consideration. Right, profitability. So let's open up our reference material. So here, so different from the other AAT sample assessment, which only gave us ratios, but it gave us more ratios. This one's given us less ratios, but some actual figures. And the key is that you must make sure, I'm just going to make that a bit more like that. You must make sure that you comment on everything. Right, so profitability. So I've been given the sales revenue, the profit from operations, and the operating profit margin. All of those things will fall under the umbrella of profitability. So I'm going to start by noting there has been a huge increase in sales revenue. We could quantify that. So percentage difference is the difference, so 1680 take away 520, so it's gone up by 1160, and then if I divide that by my starting point, I'm just knocking the zeros off because it doesn't make any difference, and times it by 100, that is a 223% increase in 1 year. Huge. Which demonstrates the rapid expansion of this business and raises alarm regarding overtrading. Profit from operations has increased in absolute terms. That's the word that we use when we're talking about the actual figure rather than the ratio. So 302,400 take away 130,000. So I've got 172,400. I'm dividing that by the 130,000 and timesing it by 100. That's gone up by 133%. I'm just rounding to the nearest percent. So a lesser increase than the revenue. Suggesting let's say that, because then I want to turn my attention to the operating profit margin. The operating profit margin, which is a measure of profit relative to sales, shows a deterioration. I don't like using increase, decrease, although I have noticed they do that in this exam a little in some of the computer mark questions. Shows a deterioration from 25% to 18%. This could be because we don't know much about gross profit here. So sales prices have been discounted to try to attract more custom, or because unit costs have increased. And unit costs or overheads have increased. right? So that's my commentary about profit. Then I come on to my next heading, which is about liquidity. So clock what you're going to be talking about. So we've got the current ratio, receivables, inventory, payable. So we've got 4 ratios to discuss. And then we've got the actual figures for inventories, receivables, cash and payables. So there's a lot going on in this section, which is what we would expect in a credit management exam. So I'm going to start by saying inventories have increased in absolute terms, which would be expected given the expansion. And then I'm going to link that straight away to the inventory holding period. And then I'm going to start a new paragraph though, because I want the examiners to see that I have talked about absolutely every bit of information. So, however, the inventory holding period has increased from 38.96 to 50.45 days, showing that the business is not able to shift its stock as quickly as before. This is a further possible sign of over trading. Right, then we're going to talk about trade receivables, even though they're 0. Trade receivables have remained at 0 year on year. So this is a barber shop, remember? This is as expected for a barber shop and raises no concern. I should probably have said, no, I think that's sufficient. Right, then I've got my payables. Let's do that next. So trade payables have increased in absolute terms by, and again, I'm just going to throw in a percentage increase. So I'm going to do 130,985 minus 2,500. And then I'm going to divide that 110,485 I have in my calculator by the start, the 20,500, and times it by 100. So that has gone up by 539%, which is a bigger increase than we can justify based on the expansion of the business. Let's link that to the payable payment period. So Clip It, good to get the name in as much as you can, has seen an, oh, and I've just not done what I said, which is start a new paragraph. Clip It has seen an increase in payable days from around 36, I'm just being a bit lazy there with the decimal points, to 63 days. This suggests that they are struggling to pay their debts as they fall due. Right, I haven't mentioned the current ratio yet, which is a nice little lead in here. So this is backed up by the current ratio, which has worsened from 2.14 to 1 down to 0.82 to 1. This means that the business only has 82p of current asset for every pound of current liability, suggesting cash flow difficulties. This is further borne out by the fall in cash from 26,100 down to 7,050. Although Clipit still has cash, it has dropped dramatically, and they may soon have to use an overdraft facility. Right, is there anything else that I haven't mentioned? So just do a little check. So liquidity, I've done current ratio, receivables, inventory, payables, gearing, I'm going to put into the financing. And then up here, I think I've spoken about all these figures, right, which brings us down to financing. Excuse me, hiccup. Right, so financing, whoa, long-term borrowings have increased. So this may have been to finance the rapid expansion, but could also possibly be being used to finance day-to-day operations, which is not sustainable. Did they give us a gear? Yeah, the gearing ratio has worsened from a low risk 18.21% to a much higher risk of 43.45%. By offering this business credit, AZ, is it AZ? Yeah, AZ Professional Hair. Sorry, I couldn't remember. AZ would be behind the bank. That doesn't read very well. Let's say instead, I'm trying to say that basically it's higher risk because there's a lot of debt already to be serviced. So Clipit has a lot of debt to service by way of interest payments, which would mean AZ would be more at risk of not being paid. Right, so I feel quite happy that I've gone through all the information. So that just leaves me now to write my conclusion and recommendation. Let's get rid of that. So conclusion and recommendation, I need to say sort of a brief summary of everything that's gone above. So so what do we think about the profitability of this business? Right, so what did we say? So although there is an increase in profit in the profit figure, we're concerned about the squeezed profit margins. So despite seeing an increased profit figure, there is concern regarding the squeezed profit margins. For liquidity, there has been a rapid deterioration in liquidity ratios, suggesting that Clipit is struggling to pay debts as they fall due. And I'm going to put in there about what's been happening in the business. So this is, so this has been evidenced by the finance team having to send out reminders chasing debt. Then we would say something about the gearing. Clipit has taken out loans, which has increased its gearing ratio, which means effectively lending it more money through increased credit terms becomes more risky. Overall, there appears to be signs of over trading at Clipit, and it would not be sensible to increase their credit limit or terms at this time. We should bear in mind that although they are on 30-day terms, this is until the end of the month, so effectively offers 60 days if they buy at the start of a month. Anyway, should the situation could be kept under review and revisited if Clipit are able to demonstrate an improvement in their liquidity and finance situation. Right, so a pretty comprehensive conclusion and recommendation. It's not just a one-liner. That's what I would say is reasonable to do under exam conditions. Something along the lines that I've done there. Again, do make sure that you read their suggested mark scheme from the AAT. I mean, obviously there are going to be other points in there that I haven't included. The main thing to note is the way that they do the marking. It's not a case of a point, tick, 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 tick. There are bands. So to give you an idea, the top band, the 15 to 18 marks, says a detailed analysis of all of the performance indicators and financial data and their links to over trading, leading to an overall credit assessment decision. Right, so that is what you are aiming for, that top band of marks.